Okay. Okay. So Erica, thank you for showing up again. I'm glad to have you back. So do you have all your vegetables and everything prepared,
Yes,
ready to go?
I'm chopping them now, actually.
Okay. So I'm gonna talk to you about the first recipe, the butternut squash soup. Then I'm gonna show you a couple videos like I did last week, and then we're gonna make the cookies. Okay, because the soup has to cook for a while, and we're making oatmeal raisin cookies. And it's my mom's recipe, and I think it's the best oatmeal raisin cookie because a lot of times they're really soft. These are crunchy and they have sugar on the top of them. So they're really good, I think. So I hope you like them too. Since you're the only one here, go ahead and leave your mute off. You can you can talk to me the whole time because it's just you and me in the class, okay? So um, first thing we're going to do is take 2 tablespoons of butter. Do you remember how we measure butter? We talked about this last week.
Yes.
Do we have to get a spoon and put it in the spoon for 2 tablespoons?
No.
What do you look at on the stick of butter? How do you measure butter? Do you remember? Because
You have to look onto the
label,
graph.
the wrapper, the label, yeah. And what do you see on there? The lines for each. Look at your stick of butter. It'll make more sense that way. How do you tell where tablespoons are on the butter stick?
You could tell how many tablespoons because there is a graph right here with the tablespoons and how much you use butter.
Right. So if we need 2, you just go 1, 2, and cut it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you need a big bowl that you can put in the microwave. Okay.
Here, get that one.
And because we're making this in the microwave instead of in a pot on the stove. So you put
Wait, how much? Excuse me. How much butter is that?
2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
So you have 2 tablespoons of butter unwrapped and in a big bowl that goes in the microwave, right?
Okay.
Okay. So then when you have that done, 2 tablespoons, so you're using the knife to cut at the 2 tablespoons, and that goes in the bowl. Then you put it in the microwave for, let's say, 45 seconds.
Okay.
It's like you're on the Food Network, Erica. Do you ever watch the TV shows, the food shows on TV? No?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, so when you have 45 seconds, you're going to take the bowl out, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. So your butter should be just about melted. If there's a little bit that's not melted, that's okay too.
Okay. Okay. It's melted.
Okay, So now I have my bowl. Let's see here. I have my bowl with the melted butter, and I'm going to cut up my celery. And for that, I'm going to cut it lengthwise. And did we talk about cutting things last week? I'm trying to think what you made last week. And whether, did I talk about that? We made.
No.
No.
No, okay. So when you cut, you always want to claw your fingers. See how my fingers are like claws? You don't want to cut with your fingers out because that's a good way to get a manicure, and maybe even more than a manicure. It'll cut right across your fingers. So we don't want any bloodiness in our soup, right? So you always, so what I did was I cut it the long way, and then I'm gonna, you can see this, how I'm doing it. I'm clawing my fingers, that's what I call it, where you curl them like that, and then you cut. Because if you make a mistake with the knife, you might skin your knuckle, but you won't cut off your finger. Like this way, you could cut off your finger if you make a mistake. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So this is our celery. And I'm cutting it all up. And is your mom doing that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually chopped one up already.
Oh, okay.
That is not how she showed you. Curl your fingers like this. Like this. That's how you hold it, and do one at a time. Look, like this. See? Hold your hand like that.
Do you see how I'm doing it, Erica?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to put that in with the melted butter.
Okay.
Just the celery, not the carrots. Can I have the cutting board back? Go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
Now let's see how you're doing.
Practice cutting.
You're a TV star. The next Food Network champion.
Tell me what you got for your birthday. What Miss Francesca gave you for your birthday?
Oh yeah, I got a cooking set
In a cookbook.
Ooh.
with a
What kind of cookbook? Is it desserts or cookies or everything?
everything.
Everything? Yeah. Cool. And what was in your cooking set?
A new pans, some
It was a spatula,
spatula. We got
a cookie sheet, a cookie cooling tray.
cookie,
Oh, a rack.
cookie tray too.
Uh-huh. Cool. Are you going to use that for your cookies today?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So do you have your celery in?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we're going to take the onion. Let me go back to the close-up video.
You want to do that one yourself?
No.
Okay, so I have an onion here, and the skin you don't want to put in. Erica, you don't want to
Yes.
put the skin in because that's not edible. meaning you can't eat it. Now, onions always make me cry.
Me too.
Yeah. So my mom taught me a really cool trick, and I'm standing pretty far away from my onions, so I don't need to use it, but you may want to do it. If you take a piece of bread, just like sandwich bread, and you stick it into your mouth with it sticking out, like when you have your tongue out, then you're able to have the fumes that make you cry and make your nose run go right into the bread, and they never make it to your eyes or nose. So it's a pretty cool trick. You look kind of silly. Oh, we have somebody else who joined us, Danielle Edwards.
That's cool. It's a cool trick.
So that's prestige.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's prestige.
Yeah. Hi, Prestige. Hello. Prestige, do you want to take your mute off? Okay.
Yes,
How are you today?
good.
That's good. We just started. Erica was the only one here, so I'm sure she's happy for some company. So do you want to catch up to where we are?
Yes.
You have all your ingredients there?
We don't have squash.
Oh,
We didn't get the recipe until late.
okay. Well, yeah, really can't make squash soup without squash. So do you want to just watch for this recipe and then make the cookies with us?
Yes.
Okay. So just so you're caught up to us, what we've done already was we melted some butter and we put it in this bowl in the microwave, and then we chopped up some celery, and now we're cutting our onion. And I was just telling Erica, my mom has this trick that if you put a piece of sandwich bread in your mouth sticking out like somebody's tongue sticking out, then it blocks the fumes from getting to your eyes and nose so that you don't cry and your nose doesn't. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not doing that because I'm standing pretty far away from the onion. But if you're close up, that's a good thing to remember. And it really works because the fumes go into the bread instead of into your nose and into your eyes. And also when we cut, you always want to make sure your fingers are clawed. Do you see how mine are clawed?
Mm-hmm.
They're like a claw, because you want to make sure you don't cut off your fingertips. Okay, so Erica, are you working on your onion now?
Yes.
Okay, so when that's finished, that goes into the bowl with the celery and butter too.
Mm.
Oh, maybe I should have had the bread in my
What, the onion?
mouth.
Yes.
My eyes are starting to feel like they're getting the fumes in them.
Let me get over there. Erica, just move back. Excuse. Go.
We doing
You're
okay?
being rude. I'm sorry, Ethan was being very rude just now.
I'm sorry, what's that?
That was Ethan interrupting. He was being very
Oh, hi, Ethan.
rude. He left.
And what did he have to eat the other day? What
He had pizza and
chocolate covered pretzels?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How'd they turn out?
Great, actually. They were really good.
Good, good, good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Here, use this.
It's okay. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'll turn this on mute because it's getting a little loud.
So Erica, you let me know when you have your onion chopped and in the bowl with the celery and melted butter. Erica and Prestige, if you want to turn your video on so I can see you, that'd be great. That's better. So Erica, give me a thumbs up if you have your onion chopped. Okay, so now we need carrots. We're gonna put carrots in. So they can be chopped or not chopped. I actually had another recipe where I had to have them shredded. So I just saved some of that. So you're gonna put 3/4 of a cup of carrots in the bowl. And then we're gonna stir that all together. And the cool thing about this is when we finish cooking it, we're gonna blend it so all the flavors blend together. So I'm not a big fan of onion or celery, but it's okay. It tastes great when it's mixed with carrot and apple and butternut squash. So it'll taste really good. So give me a thumbs up, Erica, if you have your carrot in. Okay, so now we're going to put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. And while we're doing that, make sure you have your butternut squash. Butternut squash is a big vegetable. It kind of tastes a little bit like pumpkin. It's kind of on the sweet side. And then you want to have your apple peeled also. And you want to have your chicken broth ready. So when you have all of that, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And then we also need nutmeg, cinnamon, salt and pepper, and red pepper.
All right, you have everything except nutmeg.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I have everything except for nutmeg.
that's okay. It just won't have that flavor of spice in it, but it doesn't really matter. You can put it in for spicier and you can leave it out for less spicy. Okay?
Okay.
What's the serving on the serving size
For what?
for the soup?
The soup. It makes a pot of it. And it depends how much butternut squash you had to begin with, how big the butternut squash is. But how many people are in your household?
7.
7? I think you probably could get 7 servings out of it, maybe even 8. If somebody likes it so much they want a second helping. So in the pot on the stove, it will cook the vegetables, but you can also cook them in the microwave. And we have to cook them a good long time so that they are soft, so that we can blend it together. So I'm gonna put it back in. Erica, after the 2 minutes, stir it really well and then put it back in for 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Then we're gonna start adding all the other stuff. So let's see, Prestige, you're in 7th grade, and Erica, you're in 6th grade, huh? It's starting to smell like onions are cooking at my house. And this looks really crazy when we mix everything together before it cooks. But then everything gets mushy and soft when we cook it. And then we blend it together and it's just like an orange creamy soup.
It's in there for 3 minutes now.
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know. So it's starting to smell good in your house, Erica?
Yes.
Yeah. Erica and Prestige, take 2 sticks of butter out of the refrigerator so that they start to get softened for the cookies. Two sticks. Yep. And just put them on the table or on the counter so that they start to get to room temperature.
Okay.
Okay. This is really a healthy soup because it has so many different vegetables and fruits in it. And you have to be real careful with the bowl, Erica, because it gets hot. So make sure you use pot holders, okay? So now this is what mine looks like so far. And I'm going to show you how to add everything into it. Erica, let me know when your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have your butternut squash cut like this? Peeled and cut? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have your apple peeled? 1 apple?
Yes.
Okay, good. Prestige, do you think it looks good so far?
Yes.
Do you? I think it looks terrible so far. But I'm a picky eater. Are you a picky eater, Prestige?
Sometimes.
Yeah. This soup is delicious when it's all done, but I don't like onions that much and I don't like celery. So that's what I'm looking in the bowl at right now. So Erica, is your 3 minutes up?
Yes.
Okay. So now you're gonna take all of your butternut squash and put that in the bowl, in the big bowl. And you can stir that a little. And then you're gonna take your apple and you're gonna put that in. And then last week we talked about measuring cups, and we had wet measuring cups that have the spout on them and the lines on the side to show you. So we need 1 cup of water to go in there. And then we need 3 cups of chicken broth. So I have my 3 cups of chicken broth. My bowl's almost filled up. And then we're going to do just a little shake of salt and a shake of pepper. Erica, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, can you leave yourself unmuted, please? Okay. So then you need a little shake of cinnamon. And a little shake of nutmeg. They call it a pinch because you do it just like this, a pinch. And a pinch of red pepper. And then we're going to stir that so that the spices go into the soup instead of sitting on the top. Does that make sense, Erica?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're going to put that, well, before we do that, we're going to soften our butter. Then we're going to put this in the microwave for a long time. So I want you to take, both of you, take your mixing bowl for your cookies, and we need to soften the butter. So you're going to unwrap 2 sticks of butter. Each of the sticks should have 8 tablespoons. So do that. And then put it in the microwave for about 20 seconds.
I need an extra bowl.
This one.
For 2 minutes.
20 seconds.
Erica, let me know when you have your butter softened in the microwave.
Okay.
Okay.
While that's microwaving, clean up some of this.
the butter. My butter is softened.
Okay, now you're gonna take your bowl with all the vegetables and the broth in it, and you're gonna carefully put that in the microwave for 15 minutes.
Okay. And all of that.
And now I'm gonna share my screen with Erica and Prestige so that we can see a video about cracking eggs. Okay, both of you there? Prestige, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so this is about cracking eggs and separating eggs. So I want you to watch it carefully because we're going to be cracking eggs today, but not separating them. Okay? Hi, here's a lesson on cracking eggs and separating them. So what you need to do is get an egg. That makes sense. You'll never want to crack it on something that's rubber or plastic because it'll just bounce back. So you need a hard surface. A glass bowl is fine, a metal bowl, or even a countertop. So I'm going to crack the egg on the countertop. And then you take your thumbs and you put them in where the crack is to separate the shell. When you do that, if you want to separate the egg, and separating an egg doesn't mean putting one here and one here. It means taking the yolks separate from the whites. You crack the egg open and let the white fall into one bowl, and you kind of scoop it back and forth so that you get almost all of the white, as much as possible, into the one bowl, and then the yolk into the other bowl. So that's how easy it is. Now, the one thing that you want to make sure is if you ever have a recipe that calls for an egg, don't crack the egg right into the rest of the ingredients. Crack it into, whether it's separated or together, crack it into a bowl separate from it. That way, if the egg has gone bad, which you can tell by the sniff test, and if it smells funny, then you can throw it away and you don't throw away all the other ingredients. Also, if you get any shells when you crack it and it goes into a bowl that, say, has flour and sugar in it, then it's going to be very hard to pick out all the pieces of shell that are remaining. So that's my lesson on how to crack an egg. Okay. So now you two are going to have a quiz. Hang on. Let me get to the quiz. There's 3 parts to an egg. So I want you to answer in the chat box, okay? It's quiz time. Who wants to be a kitchen wizard? Question of the day. What are the 3 parts of an egg? Hint, one part is not edible. In the chat box, type your answer. Okay, so let me find the chat box here. I'm going to get out of sharing so I can see the chat box. And I want you to answer what the 3 parts of the egg are. There's 3 parts. One you can't eat. So let's do the one you can't eat first. What is that called? Type it in the chat box. Erica, you have the answer?
Yes.
What is it?
Eggshell.
The eggshell, okay. What's the yellow part called? Okay, the yellow part inside that you can eat. Prestige got it. How about you, Erica? Yolk, very good. And what is the kind of slimy part around the yolk? What's that called? It's not really the color that it says it is until you cook it. Erica, do you know? Okay, it looks like Prestige got the answer, and so did Erica. Egg white, that's right. And it's called an egg white, even though it's like a clear, slimy thing. But then when you cook it, it does turn white, doesn't it? Like a hard-boiled egg or a fried egg, that part turns white. Yes, okay. So now we're gonna make our cookie dough. So let me go to the close-up view. We have a bowl with our softened butter in it, right? And you learned how to crack an egg, but I'm going to move my butter bowl over. And what we're going to do is take an egg, and I want you to watch first how I do it, okay? Then you're going to do it. You need 2 eggs. So you're going to crack it. Never on a rubber or plastic surface. It can be on a glass surface, the countertop, or a metal surface. Then you put your thumbs in like that, crack it open, do the sniff test, and it should smell like nothing. If it smells like something awful, it's a rotten egg. And then make sure there's no shells, and then put it in with our butter. And then you're going to do your second egg, crack it, sniff, check for eggshells, and put it in with the butter. And then give me a thumbs up when you have both of your eggs cracked and no shells, and they smell good, and you have them in with the butter. Thumbs up when you're ready. A lot of what we're doing today is 2 of everything. Okay, good. Both of you are ready. We have 2 sticks of butter. We have 2 eggs. Now we need 2 cups of sugar. So last week we talked about using dry measuring cups and scooping the butter until you overfill it. And I'm going to show you in case you forgot. And then you're going to use a kitchen silverware knife to level it off. And you're going to do that twice so that you have 2 cups of sugar in your bowl. And then you're going to start beating it all together with a wooden spoon. So I'm mixing it together. Prestige, how did you like the applesauce and the spice cookies last week?
It was good.
Both of them?
The applesauce, it was good, but the cookies, they were a little nasty.
You don't like real spicy cookies then? Well,
And my,
today's are only going to have cinnamon in them, so you'll probably like these better.
Okay.
I hope so anyway. So you're making sure there's no lumps of butter by smashing it with the back of the wooden spoon. And you want to make it fluffy. So you have to really put all your muscle behind you when you're stirring it. Scrape the bottom, scrape around the sides, make sure everything gets mixed in and there's no sugar showing. And give me a thumbs up when you're finished with that. And I'm gonna take a look at each of your bowls. So if you can turn on your video, Prestige, and Erica, if I can see your bowl. Can I see what's in your bowl? Can you tip it a little? Oh, it looks good. You have your sugar, your eggs, and your butter in there, right?
Yes.
Okay, good job. And I'm coming for you next, Prestige. There you are. Oh, it looks good. So make sure you get all the sugar mixed in and make sure you get all of the egg yolk and egg white mixed in.
okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then we need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I think we had a problem last week. Somebody put baking powder in. Make sure it's baking soda. 1 teaspoon and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then you want 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. So if you have this kind of spoons, you want to do the smallest one should be 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And then stir that. And scrape the bottom so the cinnamon gets mixed in. So is everybody with me? 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon, not tablespoon, teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So add that to your butter, egg, and sugar, and then just Mix, mix, mix.
How many of salt?
I'm sorry, what's that?
How many of salt?
1/4 of a teaspoon. So if you have this kind of teaspoons, it's the smallest one, full of salt. Are you camera shy, Prestige?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Nice looking kid like you shouldn't be. It really helps me to have you if you have your camera on. I'm just saying. Okay, so Erica, I just had this on for 15 minutes and I'm just stirring it and seeing if it's soft, and it's still hard as can be. The vegetables are still hard. So I'm going to put it back in for 15 minutes more. Do you hear me, Erica? Erica, did you hear what I said about 15 minutes more for the soup?
Yes.
Okay, so after the 15 minutes, stir it and then put it back in for 15 minutes more.
I did.
Okay, good. Thanks. And when you have, Erica, do you have your cinnamon, baking soda, and salt in the mixture?
Yes.
So 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to put flour in. Prestige, are you ready for the flour?
Yes.
Okay, so we need 2 1/4 cups of flour. So we talked about measuring dry ingredients when we did the sugar, and we talked about it last night. So you're going to overfill 1 cup and then level it off and put it in. Then you're going to stir it before you put the rest in. Do you remember how we did that last week with our molasses cookies? We wanted to make sure we didn't have flour going all over the place. So I put in 1 cup of flour and it's starting to get thick. And now I'm going to put in my 2nd cup of flour, overfill, and level it off. And then I'm going to stir that. And it's getting thicker and thicker and harder to stir. And I'm scraping the sides and the bottom to make sure I get all the ingredients mixed. Everybody see what I'm doing? Oh my goodness, it's so thick. And then I need 1/4 of a cup more of flour. Overfill, level it off, and put it in. So 2 1/4 cups of flour. Now we haven't added the oatmeal or the raisins, and they're oatmeal raisin cookies. But I think it's so thick that we're gonna have to hand knead this in. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you have parchment paper, you wanna put a big sheet of parchment paper down. If you don't, make sure your counter is clean and dry. Erica, I'm gonna take a look at yours and see how you're making out. 2 1/4 cups of flour, right?
Yes.
And you're stirring it in between each time you add something, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it getting really thick?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And let's go over and see how Prestige is making out. Hey, girl, you have a board there, a blackboard. Very cool. You can practice like you're in a classroom, huh?
Yes.
Except for your little sister there. How are you making out with your dough? Did you do your 2 1/4 cups of flour?
Yes.
Okay. And did it stay together like mine did? Can I see yours?
All of that power.
Okay, so you're still mixing the flour in, right?
Mhm.
Okay, good, 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 good. So when you have that all mixed, either on a clean dry counter or on parchment paper, you're gonna dump it all out so we can put the oatmeal and the raisins in it. And you wanna make sure you don't leave anything in the bowl. So let me show you that up close. So here I have a lot left in the bowl, so I'm gonna use a spatula and scrape all the way around.
Can I do half raisins, half not raisin?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can I do half raisin and half not raisin?
You know what? You could go no raisins at all, or you could split it up and do half the amount of raisins in 1/2. But let's
Okay.
get the oatmeal in first, okay? Because you need that no matter what the raisin, whether you have raisins or not, you need the oatmeal. Okay?
Gotta put it out.
That was a good question because that's one of the things in baking. You usually have to be very precise and have exactly what they say. But raisins are one of the things that you don't have to have that in. You could leave that out and it would still be a good cookie. It just wouldn't have raisins in it. So I want you all to watch what I'm doing. I flattened out my dough, and I'm gonna do a scoop and level of 1 cup of oatmeal and put it right in the middle of the dough. I'm gonna need 2 cups altogether, but I'm gonna knead this in first.
Look at her.
And it's a sticky dough, even though it's thick. So you kind of have to move it around on the paper. And then you do your 2nd cup And that should make it thicker and not as sticky. So we're just working with it until we get it all mixed in. And I'm scraping with the spatula so that I don't have any that sticks on the paper. If you have any questions, please ask me. Erica, are you doing okay?
Yes.
Are you putting the oatmeal in?
Yes.
Okay, so I did 1 cup and then I'm gonna add my 2nd cup now.
Mom.
Keep folding it so it's all in there. Get all of it in there.
Oatmeal's a big food for the fall because it's something that is sturdy. It's not like a light flavor. It's a heavy flavor, and that's good for the fall. So we want 2 cups altogether of oatmeal. And you're just moving that dough around until it all gets mixed in. And this is taking some work to do this. Usually you use a really heavy mixer, but not everybody has a heavy mixer. So you can use your hands because before there was electricity, people used their hands to mix everything.
That's how many people hold on that.
And I'm wiping it off of my hands where it's stuck on because I want everything to go into the dough. My oatmeal's getting all mixed in, but it's taking a while. How's everybody else doing?
Good.
Is it working for you and you have to scrape off your hands and your fingers?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's still a little sticky. That was Erica, right?
Yes.
And how about you, Prestige? How's your dough coming?
It's coming good.
Yeah, it's kind of like as you roll the dough around, then the oatmeal sticks on any of the sticky dough, and eventually it gets all mixed in. And then if you're gonna add raisins, you need 1.5 cups of raisins. If you're gonna add it to the whole dough, it's 1.5 cups. Prestige, are you adding it only to half the dough?
Yes.
So what's half of 1.5 cups? Do you know?
No.
It's 3/4 of a cup. So instead of, so you'll split the dough into 2 globs of dough, and in one you're going to knead in 3/4 of a cup of raisins, and the other you won't put any at all. Erica, are you going to add the 1.5 cups to the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have an adult there, go ahead and get them to turn on the oven to 375 degrees to preheat it.
Okay. Mom, you heard?
1 cup. We need a half cup also.
375. Then I'm going to add my raisins.
What timer do I turn for the oven?
What is your
375. So the last thing I have here is the raisins that I'm turning the dough over, rolling the dough, and getting the raisins all mixed in so that I don't have raisins only in one little section. I have them all through. Your hands will get really, really soft from the oatmeal, rubbing it, your hands on the oatmeal. Your hands get soft. So now I'm carefully taking the soup out and I'm going to see if it's soft yet. And no, it's still not soft enough. So I'm going to put it in for another 15 minutes. Erica, you got that?
Okay.
Okay. When it's finished, please have somebody else take it out of the microwave for you though, because it's heavy and it's really hot. I don't want you to burn yourself. And then you're going to move your dough aside so that you can set up your cookie sheet with the parchment paper. Okay.
You have to move that. You have to move that over there.
And you want to get a little bowl with sugar in it. Maybe like
Get a bowl of
quarter of a
sugar.
cup or a half a cup of sugar. And your cookie sheet with parchment paper. So let me see, Erica, how you're set up.
She went to get the sugar.
Okay. Prestige, how about you? Can I see how you have your area set up, please? Hang on. Oh, you're still working that dough, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let me see where your cookie sheet is. Prestige. Your cookie sheet you have, and you have your bowl with some sugar in it.
Yes.
You may want to use your spatula to scrape along where the oatmeal is to kind of get it over to where it mixes in. It's a lot of work for your muscles, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Okay, now let me see Erica, or yeah, Erica, how yours looks.
Okay.
Do you have parchment paper, Erica? Yeah.
Wait.
Okay, so your cookie sheet's gonna have parchment paper on it. And then your dough looks great. Looks like it's all ready. And you have a bowl with some sugar in it too?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna do an array of 15. Okay, so we're gonna have 15 all together on the cookie sheet. We did this last week. Does anybody remember? Last week when we did it? How was it arranged on the tray if we had 15 all together? How many in each row and how many in each column to make 15?
I'm sorry, you broke up. What's the letter?
We rolled the 15.
15 altogether.
We rolled the what?
Do you remember?
We rolled the 5.
There would be 3 in each row and 5 columns. I'm sorry, 3 columns. No. 5 in each column and 3 in each row. So 3 across the short way and 5 across the long way. So what you're going to do, I'm going to show you, and then we're all going to do a tray of them. You're going to roll it in a ball, and then you're going to flatten it, but you're not killing a bug, so not too flat. Then you're going to put a pinch of sugar on top. Then you're going to do your next one until you have 15 on the tray. And watch how mine are spread out also. So pinch right in the center of each of the cookies. Pinch of sugar. Make sure they're all the same size as each other, because if you have one tiny one, it'll burn. And if you have a really big one, it'll be raw. We want all of them to be just right. Remember we talked about that last week? When you have your tray finished, your first tray, I want you to show me what yours looks like. Just so I can be sure they're far enough apart and they're the right size. I know what I'm having for dessert tonight after dinner. I'm gonna have butternut squash soup for dinner and oatmeal raisin cookies for dessert. Thanks for cooking dinner with me today, girls. Okay, everybody see how mine look? How they're spread out? And I have 5 in each column and 3 in each row, but they're not too close together. I don't have them like close together like this. I have them spread out. Everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay. And how about you, Prestige? Do you see mine?
Yes.
And yours are looking like that too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna put that aside. And I'm gonna start a second tray. But what I'm gonna do with my second tray is just roll the balls and flatten them and then freeze them raw. And then I can bake them another day. That way I don't have all these cookies to tempt me. And when I freeze the dough, I can put them right next to each other because I'm going to put them into a bag after they're frozen. Let me know if you have any questions. And when you're finished your first tray, I'd love you to turn the video on and show me what it looks like.
How long do I cook them in the oven for?
You put them in at 375 when it's preheated to 375 and for 12 to 15 minutes. So I would actually start at about 10 minutes and then check it, and then 2 more minutes and then check it until it looks like it's done. And I have mine in already. So before we're finished, you'll see what they're supposed to look like. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm finished.
Oh, you want to show me? Okay, you have to flatten them and then put sugar on the top. Did you put the sugar on the top already?
Yes.
Okay, just flatten them. Do you see how mine are flattened? I roll them and then I flatten them.
Okay.
Just take your fingertips and press down on each one until it's a little flatter. Okay?
Okay.
They'll be crispier if they're flattened before you bake them. Crunchier.
I put it on 10 minutes.
So hopefully the soup will be finished this last round because I put it in for 15 more minutes. Erica, did you put your soup in for 15 minutes again?
Yes.
Okay. Were your vegetables starting to get soft or no?
Yes.
Yeah, they were. The softer, the better.
Yes.
You two are so mannerly. You really have good manners. You tell your moms they're doing a great job with you. Erica, does it smell good in your house?
Yes.
The soup smells good, or are you smelling the cookies?
The soup smells good.
Good. I hope you like it. Did you ever have butternut squash soup before?
No.
Ooh. Do you like pumpkin pie?
Yes.
And then I think you probably like this because butternut squash kind of tastes similar to pumpkin. It's not going to be as sweet, but it does have some spices in it. So I can't wait till next week when you tell me whether you liked it or not. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm not following the rules of keeping them separate because I'm going to freeze these and then put them in a bag and I can bake them later. See how I'm putting mine all close together? I wouldn't do that if I was putting it in the oven.
I'm done.
What's that?
I'm done.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I am done.
All your cookies?
Yes.
Did you do them all on separate sheets to go in the oven, or did you do them like I'm doing them?
Separate sheets.
Oh, how many did you end up with?
Your soup.
How many trays do you have?
2 trays.
2 trays with 15 on each tray?
No, there's 6.
Oh, because you have the smaller trays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you only got 12 cookies out of all that dough?
I saved some of the dough without the raisins.
Ah, okay. That explains it.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You got 21 cookies so far.
And you flatten them and you put sugar on them?
My squash is done.
Your squash is done? Is it soft?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands off and I'm gonna check to see if mine's finished because we're gonna have to blend it after that. Do your hands feel soft from rolling the dough?
Yes.
Yeah, they really get soft. Okay, so I'm gonna put these in the freezer. They're raw, and then I can put them in a bag and bake them later. So let's see how mine turned out. Now it looks pretty mushy to me. Yep. So if you have, let me go back on Spotlight. Hang on. If you have a potato masher like this, you can mash it like we did with the applesauce, but it's still not going to be mashed enough. So if you have a blender, you can get somebody who's an adult in your household to put this into the blender. It's really boiling hot, so you don't want to do it yourself. And then you can blend it. And like I told you last week, I have this stick blender, so I can just blend it right in the bowl. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And you have to be really careful. You can actually let it cool for a while if you want before you do it. Everything all at once. My cookies are dinging. My oven's dinging. These turned out perfect. So I'm going to show you my cookies. See how they look? And they're really crispy. Everybody see? And now I'm going to blend the rest of my soup. So that the vegetables get all blended together.
Mix.
Okay. How does it look? Does it look yummy?
Yes.
Yeah. So Erica, are you going to use a blender or a potato masher, or do you have one of these stick blenders?
Potato masher.
Potato masher? Okay. You want to really do it so it turns out really smooth. Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy your dinner. And enjoy your cookies. Prestige, do you have any questions for me or Erica before you leave for this week?
No.
No.
No? Okay. I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.